Welcome back to my Oklahoma Sooners Dynasty. We have just wrapped up Season 10 by winning our 5th straight national championship. And I did say at the end of that video I was considering ending the series, but here's going to be the plan. This series does pretty well on my channel despite the fact that we've now won 80 straight games and 5 straight national championships. So it's pretty clear to me that you guys still have an interest in this series. And honestly, I find that a little bit surprising considering how dominant this team has become. But I will change it to a different upload schedule. We will try to get 1 to 2 videos a week out on this series. But for now, let's go ahead and jump into the offseason. For, I believe, the first time in 5 seasons, we did not win the Heisman Trophy. That goes to running back Jake Foreman out of Northern Illinois. John Jordan came up just short of it. All of the other awards are as follows. The Maxwell Award goes to Paul Myers, the quarterback at Florida. The Walter Camp Award goes to Jake Foreman. The Bednarik Award goes to Ryan Bates. The Nagurski Award goes to Carl Taylor. The O'Brien Award goes to Paul Myers. The Walker Award goes to Jake Foreman. The Bolitnikoff goes to Nathan Johnson. The Mackey Award goes to Tony Jefferson, a tight end at Arizona State. The Outland Award goes to Jared Jackson. So far, we have not won a single award. The Remington Award also goes to Jackson. And then finally, Paul Manning wins the Lombardi Trophy. We also get second place with J.R. Pearson. The Butkus Award goes to Carl Taylor. The Thorpe Award goes to Ryan Bates. The Groza Award goes to the kicker at Arizona. The Guy Award goes to Randall Johnson. Our guy actually came up second here, so we did punt the ball a little bit more this season. And the Jet Award goes to Brent Carr. On the All-American list, we do have a few players, starting with true freshman quarterback Doug Brooks, who had a pretty solid end of the season. I think at the beginning we were pretty quiet, but he had a fantastic second half of the year. John Jordan also makes it at running back. John Mangum makes it at receiver. We get 2 linemen here. Andrew Harrell and CJ Clark, our left tackle and left guard. We got both of our defensive ends, Paul Manning and Dwayne McDaniel. J.R. Pearson also made it, so 3 of our 4 defensive linemen made this list. Nate Thompson and Trey Boland both make it, and then our punter Jim Kelly makes it. On the second team, let's see if we have anyone here, and we do have our right tackle Joey Rutledge. Anyone on defense makes second team, that would be Brian Bass and Jeff Cox, and anyone else here. And Kyle Olson, our starting strong safety. On the all-freshman team, our quarterback obviously makes that one since he was All-American first team. Seth Phillips makes it at receiver. Our center, Travis Clark, makes it as a true freshman. Paul Manning makes it as a redshirt freshman. And then we also have Jeremy Williams at defensive tackle. I don't remember him doing a ton, but still makes the list somehow. And then we have David Weaver down here at free safety. Now for all SEC, we have a few more awards. Doug Brooks, John Jordan, John Mangum, Andrew Harrell, CJ Clark, Eric Weber, our right guard, Joey Rutledge, our right tackle. So the only offensive lineman that did not make all SEC is our center. Paul Manning made it, Dwayne McDaniel made it, J.R. Pearson, and Chris Rowland. So our entire defensive line is all SEC. And then we have Nate Thompson, Brian Bass, Trey Boland, and we have Kyle Olson, Brian Wood, and Jim Kelly. Now on all SEC second team, Robert Weber does make it. I believe he's going to be the only one on offense to make it here. Over on defense, we do get true freshman Ian Wilson, defensive back Jeff Cox, defensive back Elton Butler, and safety David Weaver. No one else seems to be on the list. Weaver making this list, actually both of the lists he made, is actually pretty impressive because he should not have been playing that much this year. Dwayne Jones got injured and was out the rest of the season whenever I had to simulate the first 4 games. Looking at our season recap for this year, if you remember at the beginning of the season, I screwed up and accidentally saved over our save file, so I had to re-simulate the first 4 games rather than play them all. We still got the win, so it was fine. And then we took over against Tennessee where we won 24-6. Then we beat Texas 49-28, Notre Dame 42-35, Mississippi State 35-13, Texas A&M 38-31, Mizzou 45-33 in a game that was a lot closer than I would have liked it to be. Then we beat LSU 45-7 and Oklahoma State 52-3. Then we won the SEC championship in a blowout fashion against Florida 51-14. And then jumping into the playoffs, we had to take on Florida immediately again in a rematch, and they competed a lot better. We won 37-30. Then we beat California 41-7 in complete domination. And then we beat Florida State 56-24 to capture our 5th straight national championship. Looking at this season stats, I did not let the backup quarterback throw the ball at all. Sam Townsend only threw the ball 1 time this year. If he came in, it was to run down the clock. He has incredible speed and should have some rushing yards here. But Doug Brooks goes for 4,500 yards, 45 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions as a true freshman, completing 65% of his passes. Our backup running back Corey Mays got 7.3 yards a carry, so if John Jordan actually leaves, like he can because he is a redshirt junior, I feel like we're pretty set at running back. Doug Brooks also ran in for 10 touchdowns this year. James Harrell, our fullback, got 3 touchdowns, and Sam Townsend apparently didn't run the ball near as much as I thought, 5 carries for 40 yards and a touchdown. Wide receiver John Mangum was by far our best receiver this year, getting a career high in receptions, yards, and touchdowns, going over 1,500 yards, 77 catches, and 16 touchdowns on the year. This was the first year that Seth Phillips got to play. He caught 44 passes for 833 yards and 5 touchdowns. John Jordan, 33 catches, 387 for 2 touchdowns. Thomas Patterson, our tight end, 26 for 276 and 2 scores. I just don't use the tight end that often. Adam Campbell only caught 23 passes but 8 touchdowns. Robert Weber, 23 passes and 7 touchdowns. John Carrington caught 1 but was injured most of the season. Adam West did catch 1 touchdown and 6 passes for 62 yards. He was mostly our kick returner, but he fumbled the ball quite a bit at that, so I doubt he will be our returner next year. And James Harrell caught 4 passes but got 3 touchdowns out of it. Outside linebacker Nate Thompson led the team in tackles. He actually played middle linebacker for us this season, but he came away with 100 tackles on the season. Tackles for loss is going to go to Paul Manning and J.R. Pearson, and then sacks is going to go to J.R. Pearson with 10.5. Paul Manning got 9.5. Dwayne McDaniel got 6.5, and Brian Bass, an outside linebacker, ended up with 6.5 sacks this year. Ian Wilson got 3.5, and what about interceptions? We got 6 from defensive back Jeff Cox, we got 6 from Trey Boland, 2 from Nate Thompson, and then we got 1 from Elton Butler, Dwayne Jones, and David Weaver. I did complete my goal this year of wanting to kick the ball a little bit more. Last season, Brian Wood only attempted 5 field goals, but this year he attempted 17 and only missed 3, so we got an 82% on field goal percentage. I also succeeded in getting a bit better stats in terms of punting the ball. I wasn't trying to punt the ball this year, obviously, that's never my goal, but the last few seasons he's been here, on average, we have punted less than 1 time a game, but this year we punted 26 times for a career high for Jim Kelly. I believe for the first time in 6 years, we don't win the Jet Award. Adam West only got 27 returns for 600 yards and no touchdowns. We also got no punt return touchdowns this season. Now it's time to look at the rest of these stats around the country, and Doug Brooks leads the nation in quarterback rating. In completions, that goes to Jim Fortinall at Florida State. Attempts also goes to Fortinall. Yards goes to Doug Brooks by about 700 yards here. And touchdowns goes to Doug Brooks by a 4 touchdown difference. And leading the nation in interceptions is Mike Nichols for, I believe, Charlotte with 20 interceptions. Out of curiosity, I want to see the most accurate quarterback this season. That would be Josh Rogers, the quarterback at Penn State, who completed 66% of his passes, but Doug Brooks was second. The most rushing attempts on the season goes to Jake Foreman with 366, and second place wasn't even close. The most yards is also going to go to Foreman, just a little over 2,000. The most yards per carry goes to Charles Arnold for UNLV, who got 7.7 yards a carry. He seems pretty solid. And touchdowns goes to Foreman with 25 of them. John Jordan gets second there. And now I want to see who led the nation in fumbles. That would be Micah Diggs, the quarterback at Auburn. The most receptions on the year goes to Jermaine Mitchell at Texas Tech, who had 96 catches. The most yards goes to John Mangum with 1,500. And the most touchdowns also goes to Jermaine Mitchell. He got 18 of them. John Mangum came up third. Leading the nation in tackles this year would be Jonathan Hogan at Texas Tech and Terrence Bowling at Cincinnati, who both came away with 107. Solo tackles is kind of broken in simulation, so we never really count that. Tackles for loss goes to David Smith, a defensive end at West Virginia. And then for sacks, it's a tie here with Henry from the Raging Cajuns with 10.5 and J.R. Pearson with 10.5. Who led the nation in interceptions? That would be Kyle McCarthy for San Diego State. The most made field goals on the season goes to Derek Thomas for, I believe that's Central Michigan with 28. He also had the most attempts. And the most accurate kicker on the year is Jonathan Miller from Arizona, who completed 94% of his kicks. The only thing left to do now before the end of the season is to go over all of the bowl game results, so we will start to do that here. We see North Carolina beat Arkansas State 24-17. You'll obviously see all 3 of our games in this list here, and I don't really think there's going to be anything majorly important. Oklahoma State did lose theirs 45-10 in the Alamo Bowl. That was a complete and total beating. Tennessee lost to Penn State, not great for the SEC there. Kansas State lost to Texas A&M, once again not great for the SEC. Kentucky did win their game 38-35. Ohio State stomped Clemson in the Cheez-It Bowl. California won 45-21. That was a playoff game. We knew that one. Georgia won their bowl game 24-21. USC won their playoff game 38-28. And now we'll scroll all the way down to the bottom where we see the national championship, even though that was not the final score. We can now finally jump into the offseason part of this video. We do have one coaching change here at Oklahoma. We have extended defensive coordinator Chris Wilson, so he decides to not become a head coach. But we do lose Will Healy, so now we have Andrew Souter as our offensive coordinator. And if we scroll up here, we can see that Healy took the job at Auburn after Harsin was fired. The next stage of the offseason is jumping into players leaving. So this is where the offseason will actually kick off and we figure out who we need to replace. We will begin this with these senior players that we are losing, and that begins with left guard CJ Clark. He's an 88 overall with 96 pass block. We might miss him along the offensive line. We will also be losing defensive back Trey Bolin, who will leave Oklahoma as an 85 overall with 92 speed, 91 man and zone coverage, and he's coming off his best year where he got 6 interceptions. He will leave here with 8 total picks in his career. Then we have defensive end Hassan Nugent. He ended up with a lot of playing time early on in his career, but just kind of fell down the depth chart as we went along, just because I got better and better players. His best year is going to be his freshman year where he came away with 9 sacks, but he will leave here with 16. We lose another member of the offensive line. Andrew Harrell has decided to leave here at an 84 overall. Our tight end Thomas Patterson, I believe this was the first 5-star player I landed. He was the #1 tight end in the country, but I don't throw to the tight end a whole lot, and honestly his catching rating really hurt him. There were a lot of times in his career where he dropped pretty open passes, so he will leave Oklahoma with 14 total touchdowns and about 1,200 yards. I think this is a player that could develop into a really good player in the NFL, but here at Oklahoma, I just don't use the tight ends. Another player that is leaving is defensive end Lee Ross, a player that is a pretty solid rating at an 83 overall, but just never seemed to find the field. Then there is Victor Alexander, one of our backup running backs. He never really got a lot of playing time at running back. He's going to leave here with 29 yards rushing on 6 total carries. But you see he does have the Jet Award there, and that is because he returned 3 touchdowns while he was here. And then I also have to replace our punter because Jim Kelly is leaving at a 90 overall. Now we can start to look at the players that could have left but decided not to, like defensive end Wayne McDaniel, still an 83 overall. He's been pretty solid for us the entire time. He currently has 17 career sacks. Defensive back Elton Butler also could have gone to the league but decided not to. He comes back as an 87 overall and is probably in a pretty good position to actually end up starting this year, because he does have 92 speed, 98 acceleration, 89 man, and 94 zone for now. We still have to get to the training results. I'm a little surprised that Nate Thompson has decided to come back at an 85 overall. He's coming off his best career year so far, so we get him back. I was surprised by Nate Thompson, but Jeff Cox coming back might be the most shocking one yet. A 91 overall, coming off a 6 interception season, would probably be a first-round pick. Comes back with 96 speed, 98 acceleration, 93 man and zone, and an 81 press rating and an 86 play rec. Had Dwayne Jones not gotten injured last season, I feel like this would be way more surprising that he is coming back, but we will get our 92 overall safety back on defense with 97 speed, 99 acceleration, 94 tackle, not the best coverage ratings, but a 78 play rec and an 84 hit power. We will also be returning defensive end Hunter Cade, who was an 86 overall redshirt sophomore. He honestly has not really found the field that much. As you can see here, he only had 2 tackles last season, but still an 86 overall with 84 strength, 85 tackle, 92 block shedding. We may need to use him a little bit more this year. And a move that I am not shocked about at all, quarterback Ken Wheatley has decided to come back. He has not played a single snap for this team so far, but still a solid backup quarterback. Well, this one sucked. We're losing safety Jason Mitchell, who was an 82 overall due to playing time. Did you think you were going to start immediately here? Can I convince him to come back? We'll play in more than 9 games. Alright, I had to jump forward a little bit because I didn't know exactly what happened, but Jason Mitchell will be returning, so he has decided to stay here. So we may need to work him into some games this year, but an 82 overall as a true freshman, I feel like I can make that work. We will be losing quarterback Sam Townsend, which is not much of a shock. He's a 91 overall. Probably thought he was going to be the starting quarterback this last season, but really didn't get any chance to show what he can do. But I guess the pro scouts like him because he's projected as a first round pick right now. 91 speed, a 91 overall, 81 throw power. I don't really know if you have the arm to go to the league, but you do have the accuracy. And the final player here is running back John Jordan. Not much of a shock that he is leaving. I fully expected him to go, a 93 overall, projected in the first round, and he is going to leave here with 3,600 yards and 43 touchdowns. This next stage never really takes that long. We will start with transfer requests, which should be empty, and it is. I guess you have to have open roster spots for players to want to transfer, which makes sense, but also doesn't really make sense. I would rather them try to transfer in, and then I'll see if there's anyone I want to cut or anything like that. But now we have draft results, and we do have a few players in the draft here. It looks like Jordan and Townsend both went in the first round. Don't buy too much into this because I will still be doing the Madden 23 thing where I create some of these players and put them in. Then you have Hassan Nugent going in the second, Trey Boland in the fourth, Lee Ross in the fourth, CJ Clark in the fifth, and then Patterson in the seventh, and Andrew Harrell in the seventh. Like I said, I think this guy's going to have a lot of potential in the league, so I'll try to make him a little bit higher rated, but still put him late in the draft. We will go over the entire recruiting class here in just a minute, but I want to go over these two players first. These are the two guys that I'm really fighting to get here in this offseason, starting with guard Michael Trenigan. I hope I'm saying that name right. The number 5 guard in the country. He is an 80 overall, a +5 gem prospect, so I've thrown 9,000 points into him. And then I'm also going for middle linebacker Cedric Stevenson. The only problem with this one is I'm about 4,500 points behind, so I don't really know how well this is going to go, but I'm going to throw 6,000 points into him, and we might get him. He is a 76 overall, another gem prospect. So now we will advance to the next stage and see if we actually land either one of those two players. I'm hoping I didn't split the points too much and then lose both of them. I really at least want the guard. I'm fine at middle linebacker. I feel like I can move Nate Thompson over there officially in the position changes stage, and we'll be fine. But do we land anyone here? We do land Trenigan, but we do not get Cedric Stevenson. He goes to Wake Forest. We ended up only 1,000 points behind. How much did we win Trenigan by? About 5,000, so I could have split that a little better and probably end up with Stevenson as well, but I'm fine with this draft class either way. I'm just now realizing in this stage I actually can't look at attributes anymore, which is a little weird. That's an odd decision from EA that I've just never noticed. So you only get to see their overalls now. We got an 80 overall guard, a 72 overall athlete named Bubba Lee, an 81 overall running back in Lorenzo Keller, a 73 overall receiver in Luke Edwards, a 74 overall receiver in Mike Tucker, a 78 overall defensive end with Gerald Walter, a 78 overall athlete, a 69 overall receiver. Don't really know why I recruited him. Maybe he's super fast. We'll look at that. Defensive tackle Glenn Moore, who's a 79, wide receiver Calvin Galloway, defensive end Reggie Wilson, the number 1 defensive end in the country, a 5-star recruit, an 81 overall. Then we got an 81 overall tackle, a 78 overall tackle, another running back, this one Brandon Pendleton. And then we got center Brad Johnson, punter Dan Reed, defensive back Calvin Rogers, defensive back Luke Johnson, who is an 81 overall, tight end Martin Gillum, who's an 82 overall, and a tackle in Matt Smith, who's a 79 overall. I honestly don't remember how many years in a row it is now, but we once again get the number 1 recruiting class by getting a total of 4 5-star prospects. The only other school to match us would be Arkansas. In 4 stars, we tied with Michigan with 11, and then we got 6 3-stars. Actually recruited no 2-stars or 1-star athletes this year. We now get to jump into the next stage, which is going to be position changes. So we got a couple athletes that we recruited. Let's see where they're going to end up. The first guy up is Lorenzo Banks. He has 84 speed, which isn't really that fast for what it looks like he could be, because he has 75 catching, 82 release, 85 route running. He has 79 elusiveness, 90 carrying, 76 ball carrier vision, and he has 81 throw power and 82 throw accuracy. The problem that Lorenzo Banks is going to have on this team is finding the field at all, because our quarterback room is obviously set with Doug Brooks as our starter. Our running back room looks really solid right now. I guess he could go here and be a backup to these guys. And then our wide receiver room is completely stacked. I added 4 brand new players because I wasn't really happy with the way some of the receivers were playing this season. So I wanted to recruit a lot more guys to get some new blood in there. Lorenzo Banks may end up being a receiver at some point in his career, but for right now, we're going to officially put him at running back. We then have athlete Bubba Lee with an 83 speed rating, a 90 acceleration. He can't really tackle. He does have some defensive stats here, like 72 man coverage, 80 zone coverage. What about all these down here? 79 throw accuracy, 80 throw power. Let's see what he's going to be at all of these positions real fast. So Bubba Lee would be a 72 overall quarterback, a 72 overall running back, a 66 overall receiver. Obviously can't play these positions. What about in the secondary? He would be a 65 overall corner, or a 69 overall free safety, a 66 overall strong safety. I think that tackle rating kind of kills the hope to play defense for him. I honestly think the best place for Bubba Lee right now is going to be at quarterback. As stacked as that room is, that's where we're going to put him. Then outside linebacker Nate Thompson. He played middle linebacker all of last season, so that is where we're officially going to put him. He'll go from an 85 to an 86 overall. We're also going to take middle linebacker Tommy Hollis and move him over to left outside linebacker, so we actually have a backup over here with Ian Wilson. And I say this every offseason, but now we get to jump into my favorite part here, and that would be the training results. Let's see how much better everyone got. Well, this is something I like to see. Quarterback Doug Brooks goes up to an 88 overall now. He gets +6 to awareness, which may inflate that rating a little bit here. But let's see what his throw accuracy became. He goes up to an 84 throw accuracy and even got more throw power, up to a 97 now. Now over at running back, Corey Mays goes up to a 92 overall. I will say Mays is not guaranteed to be the #1 running back this season. Just because I want to go through the depth chart and actually compare everybody, I would say Mays is most likely the favorite to be the running back right now. He goes up to a 91 speed, 92 acceleration, gets some awareness, now has 99 trucking, 81 elusiveness, 86 ball carrier vision, 89 stiff arm, 91 spin move, 92 juke move. What about his catching? That goes up to an 83. At fullback, James Harrell now up to an 84 overall. Let's see what kind of ratings he got. He got +3 to break tackle, +5 to trucking. What about his run blocking? Did that go up at all? Where is that at? That should be all the way back here, and that goes up to an 82. At wide receiver, John Carrington was the other player that got injured in simulation, and we didn't have him through the rest of the season, but he's going to come back as an 88 overall with 91 speed. Seth Phillips gets +6 to his overall. John Mangum gets +3. Robert Weber gets +5 and 1 speed point. Jermaine Irvin gets +3, Adam Campbell gets +3, and Adam West gets +1. Let's see what all of their catch ratings are though, because we had a few drops last season. Carrington's up to an 81, Phillips got a lot better, up to an 87, Mangum's at an 82, and so is Weber here. No one else got any better, but spectacular catching. It looks like Irvin got +10, and Mangum got +6. What about route running? That goes up to a 94 for Carrington, an 87 for Phillips, and an 86 for John Mangum. I am pretty excited for the receiver room this season. Over at tight end, we are replacing Thomas Patterson, but I think we have a pretty solid tight end still. Sammy Whitaker is an 87 overall with 99 awareness. Let's see what his catch rating is though. That is going to be a 90, so yeah, he's pretty solid. Now we will just quickly try to run through the offensive line. At left tackle, Brian Moore goes up to a 76 overall. Left guard, Joel Campbell's an 83. At center, Travis Clark is now an 84. Right guard, and we have Eric Weber at an 85. Schultz at an 83, and Suggs at an 83. And then right tackle, we have an 87 overall in Joey Rutledge. And Greg Jefferson got a lot better, +6 to his overall. Something tells me Hunter Cade will find the field this season. He's up to a 93 overall. Paul Manning is now our lowest rated left end here. Let's see what his block shedding rating is and everything like that. Let's scroll all the way over here and see what that is going to be. But he has 91 tackle, 91 hit power, 87 power move, 75 finesse. Block shedding's up to a 97, McDaniel's up to a 99, and Paul Manning's up to a 96. So I feel like our left end is probably going to be pretty solid no matter who gets the job. And who knows, maybe one of those other left ends like Dwayne McDaniel or Paul Manning could play on the other side, because that's only an 81 overall for Luke Todd and a 77 overall for Aaron. I don't even want to try to say your name. At defensive tackle, J.R. Pearson's up to an 87 overall, Chris Rowland's an 86, Jeremy Williams is an 85, Dickens is an 83, and then Rice and Martin are both at 81 overall. Strength rating, Pearson got up to a 90. Once again, I want to see what their play rec and their block shedding is here. So we'll scroll all the way over. 82 tackle, 83 hit power. Power move is a 90 for Pearson, a 94 for Williams. What about block shedding? That's a 97 for Pearson, a 93 for Rowland. And then play rec is an 86 for Pearson, an 83 for Rowland, but a 99 for Jeremy Williams. At left outside linebacker, Ian Wilson got a bit better. He gets +5 overall to him. He has +1 to speed, +12 to awareness, which is big because I don't generally control people on the defense here. But let's see if anything else got a lot higher. Catching got a bit higher. That's not super important. 88 tackle, that doesn't change. Now has 91 hit power. That's pretty solid. 86 block shedding, 80 pursuit, +4 to play rec, +4 to man coverage, and +2 to zone, +3 to press. All right, so he got better. Nate Thompson gets a huge boost here, up to a 91 overall now, +5 to him. He got +8 to awareness. But let's see what his play rec is. I think it was already pretty high, if not already a 99. But now he has 90 tackle, 89 hit power. Adam Manson has 95 hit power. Okay, maybe we'll look at that. None of these guys are going to be like dead set on where they're starting yet. Thompson 81 block shedding, Manson 92, and play rec, yeah, Nate Thompson already up to a 99. Manson though, not a bad backup with an 86 play rec. Brian Bass is coming off a pretty solid season, and he's up to an 88 overall, gets +1 to speed, 8 to awareness, already had 99 acceleration. Once again, another thing I like to look at play rec and block shedding for this guy. He has 96 hit power now, 90 power move. Block shedding is up to a 93, but McCullum has a 96, so he's pretty solid as well. Play rec goes up to an 89. Man coverage goes up to a 75. Can't cover zone to save his life. And yeah, so it looks like Brian Bass is set to have another pretty solid year. I don't know what our corners took this offseason, but can y'all share it with the rest of the team? Jeff Cox goes up to a 97. Elton Butler's a 92. Shane Jackson gets +6. And Ben Rivers gets +9. So he goes up to an 88 overall. They all get at least 1 speed point. Elton Butler got 2. 2 of them, actually 3 of them now have 99 acceleration. 2 of them have 99 awareness now. Our corners are going to be pretty solid this year. They can't really catch, but that's not, mostly their job. Jumping's up to a 99 for Jeff Cox. And tackling goes up a little bit for everybody, but let's see. Pursuit up to a 99. Play rec's a 91, 82, 91, and a 91 for Ben Rivers. Man coverage goes up to a 99 for Jeff Cox, a 92 for Butler, a 90 for Shane Jackson, and an 89 for Ben Rivers. Ben, I don't know what you did this offseason. Why couldn't you have been doing that your entire career? Zone coverage up to a 99 for Jeff Cox. He may very well be the best corner in the country this season. Elton Butler with a 96, Shane Jackson with a 91, Ben Rivers with a 95. Press, all pretty solid ratings, an 87, 92, 83, and 81. And yeah, so our corners got a lot better. Now at free safety, we will be returning Dwayne Jones, who goes up to a 95 overall here. David Weaver goes up to an 81, but you probably won't see the field a ton this season. Jones got +1 to his speed. Let's see if he worked on anything, major while he was injured. Goes up to 81 catching. Weaver got +9 to catching, which is pretty solid for him. And now over here, he doesn't get better at tackling. Did get 1 more hit power. So it looks like he just got kind of stronger, but got +12 to play rec. That was the one thing I was really looking at that wasn't great on him. And that goes up to a 90, gets 1 to man coverage, doesn't get any to zone coverage, but Weaver did get a bit better at coverage here. Now with strong safety, Kyle Olson goes up to an 89 overall. Siegel is still going to be his backup. Stays at 90 speed, 93 acceleration, gets +8 to awareness. Now scrolling all the way over here, it looks like Siegel got +2 to catching. At jumping, it looks like Anthony lost 1. That's not great for him. Tackling, Olsen goes up to an 86. Mitchell goes up to a 95. He's going to have to try to find the field a little bit this season because I did make him a promise, and I don't want to break that. But hit power, Walter Siegel goes up to a 93. Maybe you should be playing linebacker. You're not that fast. What about play rec? That goes up to an 83 for Kyle Olson. Walter Siegel doesn't get any better at that, but does have pretty good pursuit. Man coverage goes up to a 76, zone coverage to an 81. Siegel also got better at that. And then press, it looks like Olsen's a 99 press rating. Our kicker, Brian Wood, gets +5 to his overall. He got +10 to awareness. Does not matter at all because I controlled him almost every minute he's in the game. But what about his kick power and kick accuracy? He got +9 to accuracy, kick power did not change. But that is now the team. The best player on the team now is defensive back Jeff Cox. At speed, who's our fastest player? That would be Dwayne Jones. What about acceleration? We have a few people here at 99. I am really excited for this season. I think we're going to be even more dominant somehow. But now for the incredibly hard part. I'm going to have to cut 11 of these players. The first player that I'm going to cut is going to be quarterback Ken Wheatley. And yes, he is a pretty solid backup quarterback. But if we come over here and look at his throw power and throw accuracy, he's got a little more throw power than Pearson here, but not as much accuracy, only by 1 point. But I feel like Pearson can be a pretty solid backup. He's only a redshirt freshman. Wheatley's a redshirt junior. Probably not going to be able to find the field, so we're going to go ahead and cut him. It does look like I recruited Xavier Wright purely based on speed. Let's see what his catch rating is, though. That is going to be a 62. So yeah, Wright is not going to make the team. I'm not even 100% positive yet that Adam West is going to stay on the team. But for right now, Wright is the next player to go. The next player getting cut is going to be this defensive end, Aaron, whatever your name is. I don't want to butcher that, but he's only a 77 overall. He's a redshirt senior, and we have 2 true freshmen coming in that are already better than him, so we're going to go ahead and get him off the team as well. The next player that's going to get cut is running back Kevin Ziegler. He's a 75 overall, does have pretty solid speed, but behind these guys, I don't really think he's going to ever see the field here, so we're going to go ahead and get rid of him. The next one up to get cut will be defensive tackle Alex Martin. He's an 81 overall, the same as Jermaine Rice here, but if we scroll over here and look at their block shedding, which is I think personally the biggest thing for a defensive tackle in this game, his block shedding is a bit lower, and he's actually the lowest on the team here at defensive tackle, so he's going to be the next player gone. The next player up to get cut is center Jason Gaines, a 72 overall. I feel like Darius Johnson and Brad Johnson are going to be just fine backups for Travis Clark, so he is the next one gone. We are also going to be cutting right tackle Tommy Roberts. He's a redshirt sophomore, probably never going to see the field here, and obviously we need the roster space. Brian Curry is probably going to be kind of a surprising cut. He's only a redshirt freshman, 71 overall, but if we scroll all the way over here, we can see this play rec is not really that great. I don't think he'll find the field too much in the next couple seasons, and if I really need a new backup for next year, I can probably find one in recruiting, so we're going to go ahead and get rid of him as well. Now, Russ Anthony may be a little bit more surprising. Another redshirt freshman. I don't like cutting young players, but Jason Mitchell is already an 86 overall. Siegel's pretty good, and Kyle Olson is pretty good. So we're going to go ahead and cut safety Russ Anthony. So this has taken me a lot longer than I would like to admit, but I've gone through the team several times, and I believe the next player that should get cut is defensive tackle Jermaine Rice, an 81 overall, a redshirt junior. I don't really think he's going to find the field that much, so we're going to cut him as well. The next player up that I'm looking at is wide receiver Adam Campbell, and I think that's going to be a surprise to some of you. Yes, he caught 8 touchdowns last season. He has 93 speed, but if we come over here and look at his catching rating, it's a 72. Yes, that's higher than Adam West, but West is only a sophomore, so he still has a chance to improve a little bit. This would be Campbell's last season here. He was a JUCO transfer. Everyone above him is obviously a little bit better in terms of overall points, so I don't know how well Campbell's going to find the field, so we're just going to make the roster space and get rid of him. That is now everyone I have to cut, so we have our final 70-man roster. That will officially wrap up this offseason video. The next episode will be the team preview where we go over the schedule, the depth chart, who I've redshirted, and everything like that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one, and I will talk to you next time.